I don't have Sammy here as the sample, but Sammy's another one. Excellent for mood control, for helping people to get balance in their life. And I like to use Sammy with a lot of emotional problems as opposed to physical problems. I meet a lot of people that land up getting an emotional problem, disorder, challenge, and these challenges cause them a lot of grief physically. And so I don't know if you've ever seen a book like this one. Here's one called Feelings Buried Alive. And Feelings Buried Alive by Carol Trueman, she shares with people in here all about what happens to people when an emotional problem is kind of lurking underneath their heart, and they can't seem to get their conscious and their subconscious aligned, and so consequently they're unhappy and depressed and down. And so part of what the skill is here is to get balanced. Here would be a couple examples of a negative feeling versus a positive feeling. If I'm afraid, that's quite different than being confident and peaceful. Okay? If I'm having feelings of alone, it's the opposite of being cared for. Okay? If I'm angry, it's very difficult to feel peace and love and mercy. Okay? So if we could take any negative emotional characteristic and see the positive side to the same thing. And so we have lots of herbs that will help balance emotional type situations. Most of the Bach flower remedies out there that are made today are designed just for that. Aromatherapy today is designed to help people uplift their mood. What oil do you think of, can you think of, that helps uplift a person? An oil? Huh? Lemon? Excellent. People that smell lemon feel clean. And so if for some reason you need the feeling to feel clean, lemon does a fabulous job at that. What does lavender do to the nervous system? It calms the nervous system. Have you ever smelled sandalwood? You ever been in somebody's like sandalwood closet or one of these cedar chest closets that people put their blankets in? There's a certain feeling of peace. It's almost like taking a walk in a rainforest that comes over people when they smell sandalwood. And they get a feeling of peacefulness. And so aromatherapies can be very, very good. Today, Nature Sunshine's putting together aromatherapy programs so that people can learn to make their own oils. And we've actually taught and trained classes, and I hope that down the road here we can actually put together an aromatherapy class and do that. My daughter's been teaching a lot of those classes. She made a massage oil for us. She calls it Refreshing Massage Oils to Soothe Your Soul. And this one has almond oil, oils of lavender, eucalyptus, peppermint, and camphor. What do you think that's going to smell like? Oh, that's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. Pass that around, and when you get done, we'll just leave the top right there. But that's a kind of a smell that will just bring some joy to you when you are under stress. To get a back massage with an oil like that, or a foot massage, is enough to take all the stresses off the nervous system. How many of you have had your feet done before? I'll tell you what, I had an opportunity to go to Thailand this last year, and they have lots and lots of places where you can go and sit in a huge recliner chair, and I went in there and they prop your feet up and wrap them with a hot towel. You come out and wrap one foot almost methodically, systematically, like it's like folding a blanket on a baby the way they did that one foot. Then they did the other foot. And after they sit there and they have them heated up, then they unwrap the one that they're going to do this massage to, and they spend a good 30 minutes on one foot with little tools and oils and hot soap and water and dry it off. And oh my gosh, let me tell you, I was in heaven. It's in total heaven. And to imagine they actually did that to the other foot. I couldn't believe it. I kept telling my wife, we were there for a week or two, and I kept saying, let's do the massage thing on our feet every day. Let's go do that every night. It was fabulous. What do some of you do to take stress off of your system? Because you know what I'm finding? The old adage that says, have you heard people say, oh, he's got a knot in his gut? Have you heard that? When people get stressed out, they have a tendency to have their whole stomach cramp up. Have any of you ever had a child run in front of your car and you had to slam on the brakes, or a dog? That's what it feels like when people get so frightened that their stomach knots up and they have what's called a knot in their gut. That's stress. That's what it feels like when you have to slam the brakes on the car to prevent from hitting something important. Well, people get that way when they're threatened to be fired in their job. They get that way when they're going through a divorce or marital problems. They get that way when their 14-year-old gets picked up by the police. You get that feeling when one of your children's not happy and are having problems, okay? It's probably the same feeling you get when you think your daughter's going to marry somebody you don't approve of. Okay, that kind of feeling, all right? Well, anyway, that old feeling of getting a knot in your gut is very physical, and it takes a lot of nutrition to balance that out. I find calcium and magnesium and coral calcium to be very, very effective. I could spend an hour alone on coral calcium and how effective it is to your entire nervous system. I could tell you all the things I know about coral, where it comes from, how it's made, how they break it down, how they either have to heat it or boil it to disinfect it, all about where it's harvested, what part of the ocean, how they do it. There's a whole bunch of wonderful information, but the bottom line is a microorganism already absorbed it. And so when it processed it and made it into coral, for it to be pulverized into a powder and for us to take it in makes it very usable by our tissue and our cells. So our body can process it very quickly. And so to take calcium is a fabulous way. The alkalinity of calcium is about 11. So the average American diet causes us to be a little acidic as a result of refined foods and breads and cheeses and meats and all the things if you're not eating well. And so to do a coral calcium can get you balanced very quickly. There's some real benefits not only to the minerals of your nervous system, but let's face it, you cannot build coral out of water, seawater, without all 72 other trace nutrients being present in it. It would be very difficult for a microorganism just to eat the calcium and leave everything else in the water alone. So we find all 72 trace elements show up in coral calcium, and that's one of the benefits of doing coral calcium. Now let's go back to what does it take for you to smell the roses? What do you do to... Nice, soft music. How many of you meditate? Do you meditate? How do you do meditation? I mean, I ask people all the time, and no one knows how to meditate.
Well, I do yoga.
You do yoga.
Yeah.
What does that mean for a guy that's never done yoga? What does that mean? I do yoga.
It means that I go through a series of exercises and I practice deep breathing, and I have quiet music on, and I hold poses. The idea is to meet your stress and try to relax with a stressful pose.
All right. You get in a stressful pose and relax. All right. All right. Well, you're going to have to share some of those poses with us because, but that's a great example of yoga. Yes, sir.
I just recently got into yoga myself.
Mm-hmm.
It is so relaxing. Before then, I would need a half-hour jog.
Mm-hmm.
Yoga isn't as strenuous, but the constant deep breathing and the poses, stretching, relaxing.
Mm-hmm.